It seems like ever since Surging Sparks released, Pokemon cards have just been going to the moon. It doesn't even seem to matter what you've picked up, whether it's sealed product or singles, almost everything has gone up exponentially in value. But as we all know, what goes up must come down, and it seems what's coming down is singles across the board. Not just in the Scarlet and Violet era, but some of the key figures of the Sword and Shield era alt arts as well. So today, I thought we'd take a look at some Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet sets, as well as the top singles from those sets, and discuss why investing in sealed product is typically the best option. But before we get too deep into the video, my name's Trevor. I make Pokemon TCG content, Pokemon market content regularly here on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, consider hitting that subscribe button. We're almost at 5K subs, and I'm really trying to get there before June. So help me out if you enjoy this content. If you find yourself liking this video at any point, leave a like and make sure you subscribe for the next one. Alright, so starting with Scarlet and Violet, I'm not going to talk about Journey Together in this video. I made a video about it recently. Check it out if you haven't yet, but basically everything has dropped pretty drastically. Everything is actually at a relatively affordable price in that set. So we're going to go back to some other sets that might not see a reprint in the next few months or years. Starting with Paldea Evolved. Paldea Evolved went under the radar for a little while there. I think at the start of Scarlet and Violet, people were still focused on making moves in the Sword and Shield category, especially with the alternate arts and that last block of Trainer Gallery sets. But for a long time, Paldea Evolved was affordable. Even this time last year, you were looking at about $120 for a booster box. There was plenty of time. There was about a year from its release date where it was a good pickup, a very solid pickup. And of course, as I mentioned in the intro to this video, like a lot of things went up over the last few months. Paldea Evolved was definitely one of them. Right now, the booster box is going for $250. I do still think Paldea Evolved is a very good option. $250 is a little steep. It could back off a little bit. I don't think there's going to be reprints though. Paldea Evolved is going to be 2 years old in the not so distant future. And all the playable cards have other avenues. They've been reprinted in sets like Paldean Fates. They've also been printed in like build and battle decks or whatever those theme decks they're doing these days. So from a competitive standpoint, you don't necessarily need Paldea Evolved booster boxes to hit the market again, considering all of the playable singles are readily available. But looking at it from a collector's standpoint, there are a lot of really good cards in this set. Of course, pull rates were a lot easier, so a lot of those cards are out there and available, and also not too expensive. But one major one we'll see that's fallen from grace is the Magikarp Illustration Rare. This one hit a massive high of about $275, but has been going down pretty significantly over the last few months, right now at about $190. So even though the booster box is doing really well and shows steady growth and no real signs of slowing down, we're seeing the Magikarp just continue to drop. I'm not sure how much this will drop, considering it is a very iconic card. When you think Scarlet and Violet, when you think illustration rares, this is probably the one that pops up in your head. But we'll see with the other sets where the other singles are headed. Next up, we'll touch on Obsidian Flames. Booster boxes are still up quite a lot as well. It looks like they're going to steadily be climbing, a little slower than Paldea Evolved. It is a little newer. It's a little bit of a lackluster set, I guess. You really just have those Charizard cards. There's a couple good IRs, but there's not really a ton that you can pull out of here. Very small set. But basically, over the last year, this set has just steadily increased, going for about $100 a year ago to $220 today. Very solid return. I do think this is another one that, it's going to be rare we see a reprint. We've been seeing a lot of like SV base, Paldea Evolved, and Obsidian Flames in collection boxes and stuff like that, especially collection boxes coming out late 2024. I feel like a lot of the packs that are going to get out there have probably gotten out there. I think sealed product is a safe bet at this point. And again, like sealed product is an easy mode investment. I'll say that right now. Why do you think I have so much sealed product? I don't really look at singles too much as an investment. Some of them, sure, you can kind of predict what might go up in the future. We've made videos like that on the channel quite a few times. And sometimes those videos look like I can predict the future, but it is a bit more of a gamble investing in singles. Sealed product, it's something, if it goes down, it's not going to go down past a certain point, and it's just going to continue climbing up when looking at the long run. So Obsidian Flames, I still think this is a good pickup. I wouldn't be surprised if this one keeps going to like $250 in the next, 6 months. But again, just like Magikarp, you've got the big hit, the SIR Charizard. A lot of people don't like this Charizard. This is my favorite Scarlet and Violet Charizard. I'm definitely going to pick one up now that it's gone down so much in value. I had one, I graded it a PSA 9, was kind of rattled and just instantly sold it. Really would like to have a raw copy at least for my binder collection, so I'll probably be picking up one of these in the future, especially since it's down. It hit a high of $85 over the last year. Right now, 56 bucks, and the lowest it's been was about 40. So really not that bad. I think if it hits 50 bucks, kind of a no-brainer. I would pick it up if you've been waiting to. Next up, Paradox Rift. Everyone was saying Paradox Rift was going to be a good one. Again, I feel like that first block, everything we've talked about so far in the video, that first block of Scarlet and Violet was pretty slept on because you could still get Crown Zenith, you could get Lost Origin, Silver Tempest, Brilliant Stars, like even Fusion Strike. Like you weren't going to break the bank picking up those sets 2 years ago when Paradox Rift was coming out. But man, this set is strong. Of course, we'll see. The singles are down pretty significantly. There's nothing really too substantial in value you can pull from this set right now. I did pull some really good stuff recently. I pulled the Groudon. I also pulled the Roaring Moon. Very close together, like back-to-back packs basically. Different days, but 2 packs in a row. Pretty stoked on that. You've also got the Altaria, the Iron Valiant. There's some good cards in this set, but not fan favorites, not like cards that people need to collect. I'd say the Groudon definitely stands out, and we'll see. It's the most expensive. But this box has gone up double in price over the last year. It was sub $100 a year ago. Right now, $200, $199, and it looks like it's just going to spike up right now. I wouldn't be surprised if this one goes pretty steady. If you've been watching the channel for over a year, you know I was talking about this. Paldea Evolved and Paradox Rift were amazing pickups. I think I was picking up Paldea Evolved boxes at about 100. Same with Paradox Rift, maybe even sub 100 at one point. I have a few of them sitting around. Again, they might not be the sets that just fly to the moon. They're not going to be like the Evolving Skies of this generation, but we're still going to see really good gains. And if you can buy these sets at the bottom, I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon nowadays, but if you can get the sets when they're down, definitely worth picking up. Your Groudon. I made a bad move picking this guy up. I picked it up at its peak sometime in March there, basically. It was going for $110. Right now, it's about $77. It looks like it might return a little. I feel like Groudon is a safe Pokemon. It's a fan favorite, popular Pokemon, like I kind of say on this channel. How to predict a good single or how to predict a good set. You got to be a fan favorite Pokemon. You got to be rare card to pull. And then with illustration rares, condition is kind of iffy. So if you can get a really good copy of it, then it's worth grading or at least trying to collect a few copies because people are going to want one for their collection for sure in the long run. Groudon cards have always been relatively popular. Now a set that I think is really good to keep an eye on right now is Twilight Masquerade. Twilight Masquerade is actually kind of down a little bit from where it's been, but it looks like it's kind of on an upward tick just a little bit. It was going for about $230 not too long ago, back in February. But a year ago, when the set first came out, it was about $100 to pick up. So this one's up quite a lot, $225 right now. I do think this one has potential to be reprinted, even though at least from what I understand, even though a lot of the cards have been reprinted, like there's multiple Blood Moon Ursalunas, there's a ton of Ogerpon cards. There's a bunch of different ones in a bunch of different sets, a bunch of different collection boxes. But you got some really good singles in this set. The Greninja SIR is going to be iconic with Scarlet and Violet, and same with that Eevee illustration rare. Speaking of which, the Greninja, even though it is a very iconic card in this era, I think people are just getting out of the hobby. They're selling their collection. They saw it hit a high price and they decided they wanted out. Or people are just hella frustrated with the lack of product. I know I don't find myself buying nearly as much stuff, especially from stores. Man, I don't think I've really bought anything from like an actual card store in a while. Typically, I'm just buying from friends, whatever stuff they're selling because they're getting out of the hobby. And again, sealed product is safe. Like buying singles right now, I don't know. Some of them probably a good play, but sealed product definitely a good play. But we're seeing Greninja $410, a little bit more than that, not even 3 months ago. Right now, $300 is down over $100. Absolutely insane. It looks like it's just plummeting in value right now. Of course, it's been cheaper. When the set first came out, it was like a $100 card. Very quickly spiked up to about $300. So it's very interesting that over the last basically almost year, 9 months, it went up very steadily. Went up, and now is just spiked right back down to where it was back in August of last year. Where will this card go? I don't know. $300 is still kind of expensive. I know I'm not picking up Greninja at $300. I don't like Greninja enough to buy this card at this price, but I do feel like it's a popular enough Pokemon that it might not go down too much more than $300. You might see people thinking, well, I've been waiting. I think this is a good price. I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up. Now, last up, we've got Surging Sparks. I think this one has gone over the hump. I think this one is going to go down in price. I see a lot of people selling these on sale, like at certain card stores here in Canada. I'll see them in stock. I'll see them dropping the price, putting them, $20 off, $40 off, whatever. I was very confident this set was going to drop in price, and that's why I went ahead and sold pretty much all of it I had other than the ETBs. But anyways, this set has been out for what, 6 months now, something like that. Came out early November. Pre-order price wasn't even that much on these. This was before all the chaos ensued. I was picking these up for like 140 Canadian, 150 Canadian, not too bad. They spiked up $265, but is now dropping and looks like a steady fall off right now, going for about $235. I'm pretty confident this one is going to drop sub 200. That might be a time you want to pick it up, but it depends, man. Like I've said a few times, I've said with this set and people disagree with me. I'm not really too sure why. Pokemon can reprint this, 5 print waves if they want. Of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff to keep up with. Surging Sparks is a very new set. Not really too sure the playability of it. If they want it to be in stock for 3 years, like the shelf life of these sets is typically 3 years. If they want it to be relative, if they want it to be out there and available, they'll make it out there and available. I would not be confident that this is going to be a $400 booster box by the end of the year. I'd be more confident of it hitting like 200, maybe even $180, depending on if another wave of booster boxes hits the market for Black Friday, which I think is very possible. Of course, we've got the Pikachu, but this card, man, immediately on release, it spiked up to about $500. Dropped a little bit, went right back to $500, but is now down to $300. This is pretty well the cheapest it has ever been. Will it keep going down? I think so. I don't think this is really that awesome of a card to hold a $500 price tag or a $300 price tag. I feel like the Greninja is going to be more popular than this Pikachu. I fear it's going to follow a similar trajectory to like the VMAX Rainbow from Vivid Voltage, where it was pretty expensive for a bit, got really cheap, no one wanted it, no one cared about it, and now it's like pretty steady, one of the more expensive Rainbow cards, if not the most expensive Rainbow card, but still nothing special when looking back at the Sword and Shield era. Now, speaking of the Sword and Shield era, if you have the collector app and you have your Sword and Shield booster boxes loaded up into there, you'll notice your portfolio has been going up a lot over the last couple of weeks. Chilling Reign is the first one we're going to talk about, and it has definitely been a component to that. It dipped down a little bit. Like a year ago, this was a $215 booster box, which, not too bad of a price. It hit a low of about $200 throughout the last year. Spiked up to about $340, dipped a little bit again, but is now shooting straight up. It's going for $380 right now with no sign of slowing down. This box could very well hit $400 before June, and it looks like it might. When looking at the sold data on TCG Player, you see a booster box just yesterday sold for $400. You see one sold yesterday night for $450. There has been a lot of sales over the last couple days, all right around that $400 mark, between $370 and $450. Again, wouldn't be surprised if this one hits $400 by the end of the month. And looking back, man, people did not want Chilling Reign. There was a time when these boxes were going for like $80, and that's when I was picking them up. Chilling Reign was really fun to rip. Of course, pull rates were really rough, but it was pretty good to me. I pulled a lot of goodies from this one. Top card I did not pull, and that's the Blaziken. Again, showing signs of slowing down. Its 1 year high was $405, and that was May of last year. It got as low as $250, spiked back up to about $380, and is now slowing down again. It looks like a bunch of people were picking it up a couple days ago. 15 sold between $370 and $410. I think people are seeing it go down and they're like, oh, hell yeah, I should pick one of these up. Or they're seeing Chilling Reign go up and they're like, damn, we should be grabbing these Blazikens while we can before they hit like $500. I'm not a big fan of this card. It's not one I'm going out of my way to grab. I'll probably never own it, and I'm okay with that. But we'll see where this one is headed. Usually the singles go up with the sealed product, but that does not seem to be the case right now. We'll see the rest of them as we go forward here. Next up, I want to talk about Silver Tempest. This one's kind of been slept on a little bit. Of course, there's not really anything too incredible in here other than the Rayquaza VMAX Trainer Gallery card and the Lugia alternate art. I do personally think the Lugia alt art is one of the top cards of the entire Sword and Shield era. Of course, it is not the oldest. There was more Silver Tempest out there, a little more readily available. There were like the God packs of it all over America, it seemed. But the booster box, steady growth, right now about $305. Even 6 months ago, this was going for about $170. If you bought it a year ago, you've pretty well doubled your money. Very good investment, Silver Tempest, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down. Very interested to see where all these Sword and Shield boxes go by the end of the year. I made a little bit of a Sword and Shield booster box prediction video back in January, so I feel like some of these boxes have already hit those numbers I was talking about. Silver Tempest, I don't know where this one's headed. It looks like it's going to shoot up like crazy. Again, $305 on TCG Player. There's been 4 sales over $300 in the last day. I'm sure we'll see this one keep going up and then level out, maybe go up another 25, 30 bucks. The Lugia as well, very similar to the Blaziken. It went up a lot, kind of peaked out the beginning of March there at about $300, $295, but has since started crawling back down about $274 right now. I do feel like this one will continue to go down. I don't really see this card dipping too much more, maybe $250, but I'd be very surprised if it hits $200 again. Now the big boys of the week. I'm sure you've heard by now, but dude, Fusion Strike went absolutely insane. I was looking at my collector app and it's like 6x what I paid for it right now. I think they're up to about 750 Canadian, something like that. Maybe even more because it looks like it's gone up even more today. These boxes were steady in the 400 to 450 range, and then it seemed like overnight, as soon as May 1st hit, everyone was like, oh, it's May, time to buy a Fusion Strike. It went from $489 to $629, and we have been seeing sales over $700. Today we saw one for $750, $730 last night, $740 yesterday. Bunch of them in the $740s. Like, this box will be $700 in a week once the data catches up with it. I would not be surprised if this ends up being a $1,000 box, like if it doesn't slow down. Of course it will be eventually. Will it be this year? I don't know. I'm very surprised the price it's at right now. I was expecting it to kind of chill out around 600 bucks, but it looks to be headed straight to 700 and even beyond that. Very strange to see though. $630, and the Gengar is actually down to $580, but it's dropped pretty significantly when looking at the charts here. It was going for about 745 and now down to $580. That is a huge price drop. I'm not sure if this one will keep going down. Of course, as the booster box goes up, you would assume the singles will follow. Usually the singles are a little bit more behind, but again, I think people are just getting out of the hobby. I feel like they've made their money, they're ready to go. Or they're just kind of frustrated with the way the market is, the fact they can't get new product, or maybe they're selling their stuff just so they can buy prismatic evolutions because they need to rip their fiend in the chase for that new Umbreon card, the Sunbreon, whatever we're calling it. But this one is really surprising to me, to be honest. Gengar has been one of the biggest cards in the entire Sword and Shield era. Basically ever since this card came onto the market. Do you think it'll go down much more? The 1 year low was 300. Do you think we'll go down to 300 again? I would be very, very surprised if it goes below 500, but very well could. Like, this price graph is looking a little scary. It looks like it's ready to just keep going down. Next up is a set that I have been gunning for, and that's Brilliant Stars. Brilliant Stars has been amazing. I wasn't able to pick these boxes up very cheap. I had to get them at basically market price, at MSRP, quite a bit after release because I just could not find them, and I couldn't find a good deal on them if I did find them. Very similar pattern. May 1st hit and everyone's like, yo, remember Sword and Shield? That was fun. We should sell it all or buy it all, whatever. Determine the values to go up like crazy. It's going for about $300 a month ago. $380 now, and there has been sales data above $450. Pretty consistently, it looks like. 2 days ago, 400, 410, 430, 440, 468, 468. So this one's going to hit 400. This will be $400 by the end of the weekend, I'd imagine. Of course, I'm filming this Saturday morning, so these prices could go insane by the time this video is live. I don't know if it'll be up tonight, maybe Sunday afternoon. We'll have to see. But Brilliant Stars, man, really good set. I think once Charizard fatigue is gone, people are going to come back to this one and want to chase this Charizard alternate art card. Amazing card. Again, I thought this was an amazing pickup. Like, it was so cheap. I think it was like a $120 card for the longest time. It's even hit a low of $125 over the course of the last year. Spiked up to $218, basically $220 almost. Went back down to $185. I don't know if this one's going to stay steady. I feel like it could go back up again. It's a pretty cheap card for being the best card in the set. $180. Considering it's an alt art, the pull is pretty difficult. It's a tricky one to hit. I opened a lot of Brilliant Stars. I did pull a couple of them, but 183 though, I feel like it might steady out. I really would be surprised if this one goes below 150, and honestly, if it does, it might be worth picking up if you haven't yet. All right, last set, and I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for holding on till the end. I know it's been a longer video than I've been posting usual, but I enjoy watching the longer videos. I hope you guys do as well. We've got Lost Origin. This graph is insane looking. Over the last year, it was pretty steady, it seemed. Not too crazy. 200, 250, spiked up to 370, kind of leveled out and is now going for 430. And we've got sales over $500. This box is going to keep going as well. All signs point to this being a $500 box sometime in the next few weeks. People are fiending. Maybe they're just getting out of Scarlet and Violet because they're scared of reprints. They're seeing Journey Together tank. They're seeing the singles tank. They're selling off all their stuff and moving back to Sword and Shield. Of course, Sword and Shield was a great era. I think there's been more Scarlet and Violet printed than Sword and Shield as well, especially these later sets. But dude, $500, we're getting up there. $500 for Lost Origin is pretty crazy. I remember picking up the ETBs maybe a year and a half ago for like 30 Canadian. It would have been like 20 USD for an ETB or something like that. I think they were $32.99. Ridiculous. Just fire sale. People wanted them gone. People didn't care. It's funny. Once something becomes expensive, everyone's like, oh, damn, dude, I want that. But when it's cheap, they don't want it. If you're patient and you just buy cheap product, it doesn't really matter what it is. Eventually, you're going to make some return on it. This was one of them. I'm surprised it was so cheap. I mean, booster boxes grew pretty significantly, but those ETBs, man, that was a no-brainer. Picking up any Sword and Shield set for less than 5 Canadian a pack, no-brainer. The Giratina card has also dropped in value, spiked up to about 710, but is now 560. Again, not really sure if this one's going to keep going down. I would expect it to kind of level out. I wouldn't really expect it to go below 500, but over the last year, it has been 325. It could go back down or even further. I really don't think it will. But again, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think of any of these cards, where you think their bottom is going to be in the coming months. Again, I'd be really surprised if this one drops below 500. I feel like there's special numbers with a lot of these cards where if it hits whatever the number is, say 500 for argument's sake, people are going to be like, that is the most I'm willing to pay for this card. It's at 500. I'll buy it now, confident that it'll go back up. Will it go back up? It could. You never really know with singles. That's kind of the point of this video, is why buy the singles? Yeah, the singles are cool. If you want to buy the singles, buy the singles. If you collect them, if you have a PC, whatever it is. I buy singles too. I open packs, whatever. I have my singles collection. I have a ton of slabs, all these cool cards that I really love, but I'm always trying to get them for the right price. The right price has not been there recently for me with a lot of these cards. It looks like the right price might be in the future for these guys, but still, sealed product, man, if you're looking at it for an investment standpoint, an easy investment, something you don't really have to think about, something you don't have to look at the numbers every day. Like, I haven't looked at a Fusion Strike booster box chart in probably 3 months, probably since I made that video in January predicting where it would be this year. And what a pleasant surprise when randomly you see everyone saying, yo, it's $600 on Instagram and your collector app going up exponentially. You don't have to monitor your investments if they're sealed. With singles, day by day, they can change drastically, as we've seen with cards like Drowsy, the Moonbryons, stuff like that. Speaking of Moonbryon, let's take a look at that last graph of the day. This card has gone up and down. The PSA 10 has dropped quite a bit. I know for a fact it was going for like over 4,000 Canadian. I'm pretty sure it's down to below 3,500 right now. But the raw copy has been all over the place for the last 6 months by the looks of things. It went into the new year at about $1,400, spiked up to 17, dipped right back down to 12, right back up to 17, 14, 17, and is now, $1,650. I think Umbreon is going to be the strongest one. If we ever see this card dip below like $1,000, which I really doubt would ever happen, then we know the hobby's in trouble. That's how you know. If this card goes down to that low of a price, time to run. Will it ever happen though? I highly doubt it. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for today's video. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, help me reach that 5K goal. If you made it this far, I'd hope you enjoyed the content and you'd consider subscribing and checking out some more videos. And before you click off, let me know in the comments below what Scarlet and Violet booster box is going to be the most expensive by the end of 2025. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!